Everything's growing. I can't believe it. Come and have a look at this. Right, well these have only just been planted, as you can probably see. These literally come up sort of overnight basically. These are all the sweet corn. As you can see, I planted 2 and 3s in these little starter pots. And as you can probably see, 1, 2, 3 have come up there. There's one that's come up there. And if basically near enough every pot has come up. Now basically those seeds were rock hard pieces of corn. And I can't believe how quickly they've come up. As with the cabbages as well, as you can probably see there, this was just a starter kit which I got, which everything was out of date by the way. Now these are the cabbages that have come up, and also the cauliflowers have started to make an appearance as well. So what I've been prompted to do is to start building the raised bed. So yesterday was a day of hard work out in the garden. It's a little bit cold at the moment, a little bit cool out here, but I was getting this post ready. As you can see there, I've actually put that new post in, and that was half of the concrete slab that I took out. Now that was absolutely solid, and lifting that out of the ground, probably for about 3 foot down, well, you can see roughly how big of a hole I had to cut out and to try and lift that out. Plus it was wedged into the other side as well. But anyway, I got it out, so that was that. So what I've decided to do here now is all this rubbish you can see here is I'm going to build along here, there, the full length, and back to there, a raised bed. I'm thinking of doing it up to about sort of this sort of height, waist height, so that you can actually work at this level. So I'm possibly going to build one there, and maybe, I don't know whether to have a single pathway of slabs and then build another one. So I've got 2 big raised beds here, because as you know I'm going to put a picket fence along here, stop the dogs going in here, with a gate probably here. So there's no reason why I can't utilise 2 big raised beds there to grow all the sort of root vegetables and the cabbages and cauliflowers and stuff like that. So this area will actually be totally isolated from the dogs, so I think that's going to be quite nice. So that's what I've got planned for there. But for the moment, while it's a little bit cold out here, I'm just going to have a look at this Hayter lawnmower that I picked up from the auction at the end of last week. And I may just get this one going, I'm not too sure yet. So we're going to have a look at this now and just see what I can do with it. We'll try and start it out first of all and see if it runs at all. I've not touched this, I've literally just pulled it off at the top there, and we'll take it from there. Now, I don't actually know if it's even got any petrol in it. Let's have a little look. Well, yeah, there is petrol in it, but is it petrol? Don't smell, there's hardly any smell to it. I don't know whether it smells like it's been paraffin. Yeah, I get that quite a bit as well, where people have actually put paraffin by mistake into their lawnmower to try and start them. Let's give it a go anyway. Well, as you can see, no sign of that wanting to go, so I'll just show you what I do now to go through the procedure to getting this going. Right, well, before I go any further, all I'm basically going to do first of all, I'm not going to clean it at the moment, I'm just going to take this carburetor off, and that is going to be my first port of call. The simple reason being is that fuel smells a little bit off to me, so I think that may be the problem. And if I could just take you inside the actual venturi of the carb there, you can see a lot of black residue in there, which shows to me that it's been drawing in oil through this tube here, in there, and chucking it into the engine, which means that this possibly might have smoked a lot, this lawnmower, due to someone possibly tipping it up the wrong way or overfilling it. I've not actually checked that yet, but as you can see, in general the springs are okay, the governor springs are okay. Someone's bent that tab down to keep it running in the fast position, so I'm not too worried about that at the moment. But also, as I say, this priming bulb is very stiff in coming out. Now that could be a worn primer bulb, or it could be that the actual tube that goes into the petrol tank has got a little filter on the end of it, and that could be restricting flow, so you're not getting full flow there. When I press the priming bulb, as you can see, when I squirt it in, it is squirting petrol into the actual Venturi. So to me, that indicates that petrol is getting in there, and if we've got spark, we should be firing this lawnmower up. But that lawnmower petrol in there actually smells quite bad. And if I take the cap off there, it looks pretty good, but as I say, the smell of it doesn't smell like petrol, which indicates it's either stale petrol or it could even be paraffin. So I'm just going to strip this carb off, actually get the carb off. You don't need to see me do that, you've seen that in many a video. But what I will do before I go any further there is just to agitate all this lot with a paintbrush with some stale petrol or some white spirit, just to clean it and blow it all off. I've had a bit of a drama since I started this lawnmower. I was going to show you me blowing it down and what I normally do just to get all the rubbish and crap off of it, but hold on, bear with me, I couldn't find this. Now that is me blowing down thing, which obviously attaches to the end of my air hose, and I've looked everywhere for it, to the extent where I've been in and out the shed 3 or 4 times. I've been out the front with Jimmy, where Jimmy was working on his car over the weekend. I've looked under his car, I've looked in his car, I've looked in his boot, I've looked in his toolbox, which is in the boot of his car. I've come back out, I've looked anyway, I've done that about 3 or 4 times. Rung Gary up, Gary was at work, and he said that he didn't have it the weekend or Monday when I done my last video when he was doing the 2 lawnmowers. So anyway, I've just picked Jimmy up from work, and I said to him, got any ideas where that thing is, that little adapter, the air hose blower? He says, yeah, it's in my pocket upstairs. When he took his trousers off, he left it in there. Didn't think about putting it back where he got it from. So anyway, cut a long story short, when I went to take his toolbox out of his car in the boot to try and see if it was in one of the drawers there, as I've lifted his toolbox out, all his sockets have fallen out. So I've had to then sit on the floor, put all his sockets back into their individual places, look for his toolbox, no, it wasn't there. Anyway, cut a long story short, I basically had to go online and order another 2 anyway. But as I say, while I was at a loose end, this is what I'd done. So there you go, it's just a rough frame up. I've got some old decking which I had, which again is just laying over here. I've only got one length of it left now, plus I've got these 2 old, I don't know what they are, them boards there, but I'll probably use them anyway. I'm just looking at using old stuff. I don't really want to spend a lot of money doing this sort of stuff. So this is going to be one of the raised beds. I've put it at this sort of height because then I can make these plastic hoops just to sit on the top. I might do them 2 in 2 halves sort of thing, you know. And with all this old crap earth here, what I was going to put here, I was going to jump all that in the middle with all the old brickwork and stuff. I've got a load of rubble over there as well, as you can probably see. All this old rubble here along there, I'll just lose that in here, and there'll be a very sort of decent amount of soil there. And this is the bed I'm going to hope to grow me cabbages and root vegetables in, maybe even some carrots. I'm not too sure, but I've got to be careful of the depth. I don't want the rocks up too high, obviously, because whatever's growing in there is going to be hitting the rocks, so I'll keep that fairly well down. But it just means that I can get rid of all this rubbish here. And what I may do, because as I said to you, a fence is going to go along here, a little picket fence to stop the dogs going in here, and that will be slatted with another maybe 3 or 4 boards, and I shall just staple. I've got some black plastic membrane, so yeah, that's not too bad. It's turned out quite nice. They're only there for support at the moment. As I say, it's going to be totally blocked in, obviously, and I'll obviously try and fill this up and then backfill it with some decent earth and manure, and that'll be working height sort of thing. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So I may put maybe either 2 or 1 pathway here, maybe 1 pathway along there with paving slabs, and maybe even build another one there. So this will leave the gate in this area, so I could have like 2 lots of raised beds. So that's what I'm toying with at the moment, and over the back there, as you know, I'm going to do the beans. Well, anyway, that's that. So now it's 20 to 5 in the evening. We've got to pop out tonight, me and Gary. Gary, again, one of his contacts he's found, has got about 16 or 17 lawnmowers for sale, so we're going to go and have a look at them tonight and maybe buy a job lot. But up until now, as you can see, I've now blown down this carburetor and cleaned all this carburetor. I've not worked on it yet, obviously, but as you can see, by using the old air gun and a bit of old stale fuel or whatever, you can actually get these really clean to work on. So that's that part. And also, looking around this Hayter, it actually doesn't look too bad once you actually clean all this stuff out. As you can see, I'm going to take the exhaust off now. That's what I've started to unbolt now, and hopefully what I'll do then, hello dear, I'll give this a repaint as well. But these are the sort of things I do when I'm checking over these mowers for the first time, and it's an unknown mower, I don't know anything about it. This is the sort of lengths I go to, because you can actually see by when you take this off, the exhaust, you can sort of see if there's any carbon or oil in there, and that looks pretty dry to me, so it looks like it's been burning okay. And this is another area where you can get loads of rubbish build up in there, grass and stuff, and it's good to just give that a wipe and the blow over to blow that sort of lot out. That's the valve cover there, when you adjust the valves on these things, on these little Briggs and Stratton engines. But these Briggs and Stratton engines, there's no adjustment as such. If the valves is too small, and the valves are being left open because the valve gap's too small, you actually have to physically take the valves out and grind the end of them. So that's the way you do that. Hello, Sharon's just turned up. You alright there? Where you been?
Been out shopping down a village.
You been out shopping?
Down a village.
Okay, baby. So Jimmy had it in his pocket. Yes, that's right.
Laugh.
You laughed. I told him not to laugh. He laughed as well.
Oh, I
How
bet you went on and on all the way out.
I mentioned it nice and quietly. I said, look, this is what I'm going to do with you. I'm not going to say it nothing. I'm not going to shout at you. I'm just going to say to you, put things away. Otherwise, I'm afraid you can't use my stuff. What am I talking to over there for?
I don't know.
So looking around this lawnmower, as you can see, there's the cable for the kill switch there, and the brake. This brake on this one, as you can see, it's got a wraparound brake as opposed to a little brake block that's normally sit there. And when I release the handle, you can see that the mechanism releases the brake off of the flywheel. And all I'm doing, as you can see, is just lifting the handle up there. So that's just showing you. This is just a slightly different type, that's all. Again, so that cable, I'm just checking the route of that cable. I'm happy with that. And it's not touching the flywheel, and there's no sort of scrapes in it at all. That's pretty clean in there. I will give that a little bit of a brush down and a blowout. Nice small gap there between the ignition unit and the flywheel. Again, if I had the brake turned up and I could turn that, what you can do to adjust these basically, as you see this that bolt there and that bolt there, if you just slacken them and rotate this, you'll find that the magnets will pull it towards the rotor if you turn that to a certain place. And some people just put a playing card in there and then just tighten up and then just pull the playing card out afterwards, and that gives you a pretty decent gap there. I'm looking for any splits on that, which I can't see, so that looks pretty much okay to me. Again, I will change the plug as a matter of course. Again, I don't know what this engine's done. It wasn't run when I picked it up, so just see what the oil looks like. Give it a wipe down. As you can see, clearly marks there, one there and one there, anywhere in between there you're looking for. Now when you measure the oil on these engines, make sure it's standing obviously on a level surface. Wind the actual dipper back in and then take it out again, and that is just on the bottom line there. So I mean, I will change the oil in this anyway, but just to let you know that that is how you check the oil. Very simple on these engines. So yeah, looking all around it, I've actually blown it all off, so it's nice and clean now, and I'm quite happy with all of that. I'm quite happy looking in there that there's no oil in there, so probably it's not been tipped up the wrong way. So I'll remove the spark plug and I'll change that. Right, okay, so I've cleaned the exhaust out and I'll give it a rub down with a scuff pad just to get all the dirt and corrosion off of it. I didn't need to respray this one, it was in pretty good condition anyway, so I've put that back on. I've given the casing, the pull cord casing, clean and a paint up. I just masked around the decals that was already on there, so I didn't spray over them. And I'm just about to look at the carb again. I'll gently ease off. Okay, carb looks in pretty decent condition, but one of the, yeah, that definitely isn't petrol what's in there. I'd say that was paraffin. So that would never start and run with paraffin in there, as you probably know. Carb doesn't look too dirty, but as a matter of course I will replace the diaphragm and gasket on this unit, because that's what gives trouble with these carbs. And I'll also blow out the jets on this, the Venturas on this as well. So again, always wear your eye protection. And taking a closer look at this diaphragm, I can actually see one of the little flaps on it has been misplaced there, so that's possibly given a problem. So I'll just remove that, being careful not to disturb the spring underneath. There is a diaphragm and a gasket on here, so just to be careful. Although it comes off in one bit, that's actually two items there. So I'll just give this a squirt of some carb clean now. I'm going to just remove that spring, put it down there, and you can also take these strainers off as well. Sometimes they're heat welded on, but there is a main jet under there. But I'll just give this a squirt of some carb cleaner and blow it out. That carb now is ready to go back on. Right, all back on. Just put a drop of petrol in it and we'll see if it starts. Back on with the plug cap. Let's just show you quickly around it. So as you can see, I haven't done the bodywork yet. All I'm going to do with this is just touch this up with a little bit of green paint, and I'll do just compound this up just to bring it up cleanly. But can you see how tidier the engine looks now? As I say, it's just a basic clean up and a little bit of a repaint on the top there. And Gary's just turned up, by the way. Right, again, never use this, never started it up. This is purely from our service. Try and buy with a bit of a squeeze. Right, okay, let's see what happens. Just running a bit fast. Too fast, so at least it starts. So I've got to go out now, so what we do, I'll look at that tomorrow, but as you can see, everything's working on it. It was first pull that started, so I'll just tweak it up tomorrow and have a look. So